If you cannot live without Google, Instagram, or Facebook, you may want to think twice before landing here. This country runs one of the most powerful internet walls on earth, blocking apps that half of America checks every hour. Say the wrong thing online, and your own social credit score can quietly drop overnight. Yet somehow, this same nation just overtook the United States with 1,110 billionaires. According to the newest Hurun Rich list, ancient temples sit beside AI labs building robots for tomorrow. Some rules here would never survive a single day back home. Welcome to China, one of the fastest growing economies on the planet. China is located in East Asia and covers an area of approximately 9.6 million square kilometers, stretching from the eastern coast to vast regions in the west. More than 1.4 billion people live within its borders, making it one of the two most populated nations on the planet today. The Yellow River and the Yangtze River carved out one of the oldest continuous civilizations in human history, stretching back more than 4,000 years. Dynasties rose and fell for centuries, building empires, philosophies, and inventions that reached Europe and the Americas long before modern trade routes existed. In 1949, Mao Zedong declared the founding of the People's Republic of China, placing the entire nation under Communist Party rule. For decades, strict state control kept the economy closed, poor, and largely cut off from the rest of the world, including the United States. Everything changed in 1978 when leader Deng Xiaoping opened the door to foreign investment and private business for the very first time. That single decision triggered the fastest economic transformation any nation has ever recorded, lifting hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. Today, China holds the title of the second largest economy on earth, trailing only the United States in total output. Its factories build a huge share of the phones, laptops, and clothing that fill American shopping carts every single day. Beijing remains the political capital, while Shanghai and Shenzhen have become financial and technology hubs rivaling New York and San Francisco. High-speed rail now connects cities faster than most domestic flights within the continental United States. Yet despite decades of growth, the country still officially calls itself socialist, with the Communist Party controlling nearly every major industry. Land itself cannot be privately owned here, a rule that would sound unthinkable to most American homeowners. On paper, this is a nation built on equality, where wealth is supposed to belong to the people as a whole. But the numbers tell a very different story, one that surprised even economists who study China closely. That story begins with a title: China just took back from the United States this year. Step into Beijing's central business district after dark, and glass towers glow above one of the most expensive skylines in all of Asia. Executives ride glass elevators 60 floors above the street, sipping imported wine inside restaurants where a single dinner can cost $200. Just beneath their feet, in the exact same neighborhood, an entirely different city has existed since the late 1960s. In 1969, fearing a Soviet nuclear attack, Chairman Mao ordered Beijing residents to dig thousands of underground bomb shelters beneath the capital. That war never came, but decades later, those abandoned tunnels quietly transformed into something Mao never intended: cheap illegal housing. Today, researchers estimate anywhere from 281,000 to nearly 1 million people still live underground in Beijing, a population larger than the city of Miami. Locals call them the Rat Tribe, a nickname for migrant workers who cannot afford rent anywhere above ground. Rooms here average around 70 to 100 square feet, smaller than a typical American parking space, with no windows and almost no fresh air. Residents share communal toilets down the hallway, and some pay separately just for a 5-minute hot shower. Rent runs as low as $70 a month, roughly 1/10 of what a studio apartment costs just one floor above the surface. Laundry hangs from ceiling pipes because there is nowhere else to dry it, brushing against tenants' heads as they walk to bed. Mold creeps along damp concrete walls, and the smell of shared bathrooms and stagnant air lingers through the narrow underground hallways. Many residents are young migrants chasing office jobs by day, then descending into darkness every single night to save money. One resident told journalists he stays underground on purpose, saying comfort above ground would only make him work less hard. Imagine an entire hidden city living directly beneath Wall Street, invisible to every banker walking the sidewalk overhead. Since 2010, Beijing officials have declared underground housing illegal and evicted thousands. Yet enforcement remains inconsistent across different districts. This is China's real slum story. Not sprawling shacks on the outskirts, but an invisible nation buried directly under its own glittering capital. Every year, close to 300 million people leave their home villages in China, searching for work in coastal factories and cities. That number alone is nearly the size of the entire population of the United States, all moving in search of a paycheck. Most of these workers cannot bring their families with them because their hukou registration ties benefits to their home province, not their new city. Sending a child to a public school in Shanghai or Beijing without local hukou can be nearly impossible for a migrant family. So millions of parents make an impossible choice, leaving their children behind in the countryside with grandparents while they work far away. At one point, government surveys counted more than 60 million of these left behind children, a number close to the entire population of the United Kingdom. Many of these kids see their parents in person only once a year, usually during the Lunar New Year holiday. Researchers have linked long-term separation to higher rates of anxiety, loneliness, and difficulty in school for these children. Imagine an American teenager whose parents work overseas for 11 months every single year, coming home only for a short winter break. That is daily reality for tens of millions of families across rural China, a hidden cost behind the country's rapid growth. The workers themselves often live in dormitories beside the very factories that manufacture products found in American stores nationwide. Long shifts, cramped housing, and low wages built much of the infrastructure that turned China into the world's second largest economy. In recent years, the government has slowly relaxed hukou rules in smaller cities, trying to ease the pressure on migrant families. Still, major cities like Beijing and Shanghai keep their toughest restrictions in place, protecting limited school seats and hospital beds for local residents. This system explains why factory workers can build the wealth of billionaires in Shenzhen, yet remain locked out of the cities they help build. It is the quiet machinery behind China's economic miracle, rarely mentioned in headlines about record-breaking growth. Next, a very different side of China emerges. Far from the factory floor, in a small community, where women, not men, hold the power. High in the mountains near Lugu Lake, along the border of Yunnan and Sichuan, a very different family system still survives today. Here live the Moso people, a small ethnic community of roughly 40,000, often called China's last matriarchal society. In most Moso villages, women own the house, manage the money, and pass property down only through the mother's side of the family. Marriage in the Western sense barely exists here, replaced instead by a custom locals call zuhun, or walking marriage. A woman chooses a partner and invites him to visit her at night, but he returns to his own mother's house every single morning. Couples never move in together, never share a bank account, and never legally register as husband and wife under state law. Children born from these relationships are raised by the mother's family, with uncles often playing the role fathers play in most American households. If a relationship ends, there is no divorce paperwork, no custody battle, no shared property to fight over in court. Imagine an American family structure where grandmothers, not fathers, control the household finances and pass the family home down to daughters. Anthropologists have studied Mosuo culture for decades, drawn by a system that survived long before China's Communist Party ever existed. Modern tourism has slowly reached these villages, with young Mosuo now balancing ancient customs against smartphones and social media. Some elders worry that walking marriage traditions may fade as more young people move to cities for work and education. Still, for now, this small pocket of China operates almost entirely outside the country's usual rules around marriage and property. It stands as a quiet reminder that even inside one communist nation, tradition can completely override official ideology. From here, the story moves towards something every visitor to China eventually has to face: the food itself. Step into any night market in Chengdu, and the first thing that hits you is the smell of chili oil and burning peppercorns. Sichuan cuisine built its entire identity around a sensation locals call mala, a strange mix of spicy heat and tongue-numbing tingle. The numbing comes from Sichuan peppercorns, a spice almost never used in traditional American cooking, yet essential to nearly every regional dish here. A single bowl of authentic Sichuan hot pot can contain more chili peppers than most Americans eat in an entire month. Locals dip everything from beef slices to tofu into a boiling pot of red broth, often crying and sweating through the entire meal. Then there is pidan, better known abroad as the century egg, a duck egg preserved in clay and ash for weeks at a time. The yolk turns dark green, the white turns black, and the smell alone stops most first-time American tourists in their tracks. Despite the name, these eggs are never actually a century old, though the process can still take over a month to finish. For adventurous eaters, some restaurants now offer a spice challenge, daring customers to finish an extra hot bowl without drinking any water. Winners sometimes earn a free meal, while most simply end up red-faced, sweating, and reaching desperately for a glass of milk. If you think you could survive a real Sichuan spice challenge, drop a 1 in the comments right now before we continue. Beyond the heat, Chinese food culture runs on balance, mixing sour, sweet, salty, and bitter flavors within a single traditional meal. Rice remains the staple across the south, while wheat noodles and dumplings dominate menus across the colder northern provinces. For most Chinese families, dinner is never just food. It is a daily ritual built around sharing dishes from the center of the table. Next, we step away from the dinner table and into a much stricter side of daily life here. The rules nobody can ignore. Open your phone the moment you land in China, and Google, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube simply stop working overnight. This digital barrier is known as the Great Firewall, a nationwide system built to block most major Western websites and apps. Local alternatives fill the gap instead, with WeChat handling messaging, payments, and social media all inside a single app most Americans have never used. Certain topics remain almost impossible to discuss openly here, including the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests and the political status of Taiwan. Search those terms inside China, and results often vanish completely, replaced by silence instead of the usual flood of information. Beyond the internet, China also runs a controversial social credit system, tracking behavior like unpaid debts, traffic violations, and public conduct. A poor score in some pilot cities can quietly block someone from buying train tickets or booking certain hotels. Jaywalking in some Chinese cities can trigger facial recognition cameras, instantly displaying your photo and name on a public street screen. Drug laws here rank among the harshest on earth, with trafficking certain substances carrying the possibility of the death penalty. An American tourist caught with even small amounts of marijuana, legal back home in many states, could face serious criminal charges in China. Public criticism of the Communist Party, especially online, can lead to detention, fines, or in serious cases, actual prison time. Yet daily life for most residents feels remarkably normal, filled with subway rides, coffee shops, and late-night food delivery apps. Most locals rarely think about the Great Firewall at all, simply because they grew up never knowing the internet any other way. For visiting Americans though, the sudden disappearance of familiar apps often becomes the very first culture shock of the entire trip. Rules here protect stability above almost everything else. Even when that means limiting freedoms, most Americans consider completely normal. Next, we turn towards something the government never restricts: faith itself, and the surprising religious revival happening across the country. Walk into any major Chinese city at dawn, and you will likely find elderly residents burning incense outside a quiet Buddhist temple. Officially, the People's Republic of China identifies as an atheist state, with the Communist Party discouraging religious belief among its own members. Yet surveys suggest hundreds of millions of Chinese citizens still practice some form of Buddhism, Taoism, or folk religion in daily life. Buddhism arrived in China from India roughly 2000 years ago, eventually blending with local traditions into something uniquely Chinese. Taoism, born inside China itself, focuses on balance and harmony, teaching still visible today in traditional medicine and martial arts. Many business people quietly consult feng shui masters before opening a new store, arranging furniture and doors to attract good fortune. Imagine an American CEO hiring a spiritual consultant before signing a lease, simply to make sure the entrance faces the right direction. During Lunar New Year, temples across the country fill with visitors lighting incense, hoping for luck, health, and prosperity in the coming year. The government tightly controls organized religion, requiring official approval for temples, churches, and mosques operating anywhere inside the country. Christianity has quietly grown as well, with some estimates suggesting tens of millions of Christians now worship inside China today. Unregistered underground churches still meet in private homes, avoiding official oversight while risking occasional crackdowns from local authorities. In Tibet, Tibetan Buddhism remains deeply woven into daily life, even as the government keeps close watch over religious leadership there. Ancient mountains like Emei and Wutai still draw pilgrims by the millions, climbing thousands of steps toward temples perched near the clouds. For many young Chinese, meditation apps and mindfulness retreats now blend ancient spiritual practice with modern wellness culture, much like trends across America. Despite decades of official atheism, faith never truly disappeared here. It simply learned to survive quietly beside the state. That same instinct for survival also built some of the most massive physical structures on the entire planet. Stretching across northern China for more than 13,000 miles, the Great Wall remains one of the largest construction projects in human history. Built and rebuilt across multiple dynasties, the wall was designed to stop invasions from northern nomadic tribes centuries before firearms existed. To put that length in perspective, the Great Wall could stretch across the continental United States more than 4 times over. In Beijing, the Forbidden City once housed Chinese emperors for nearly 500 years. Hidden behind walls, no ordinary citizen could cross. Almost 1,000 buildings sit inside its grounds, protected by design rules so strict that even the roof tile count carried political meaning. Today, it stands as the world's largest palace complex, drawing millions of tourists every year, similar in scale to a small American town. Far to the west, the ancient Silk Road once connected China to Europe, carrying silk, spices, and ideas across thousands of miles of desert. Camel caravans crossed those same trade routes long before any ship ever reached the shores of what is now the United States. Xi'an, once the eastern starting point of the Silk Road, still holds the buried terracotta army, thousands of life-sized clay soldiers. Discovered by farmers digging a well in 1974, the site remains one of the most significant archaeological finds of the 20th century. Each soldier features a unique face, a level of individual detail archaeologists still find remarkable more than 2,000 years later. Further south, the Yangtze River carved out landscapes so dramatic they inspired centuries of Chinese poetry, painting, and philosophy. The Three Gorges Dam, built along that same river, now stands as the largest power station on Earth by generating capacity. It produces more electricity than every hydroelectric dam in the United States combined, powering entire provinces at once. These landmarks reveal a nation obsessed with scale, building bigger, longer, and more ambitious projects than almost anywhere else on Earth. That same obsession with scale eventually turned toward China's cities, sometimes with consequences nobody fully expected. Drive 2 hours outside almost any major Chinese city, and you may stumble across an entire town with almost nobody living in it. These are China's so-called ghost cities, complete with apartment towers, malls, and highways, built years before residents ever arrived. Local governments once earned massive revenue by selling land to developers, encouraging constant construction regardless of actual housing demand. At its peak, China was reportedly building enough new housing every year to shelter the entire population of a mid-sized American state. Ordo's Kangbashi, one of the most famous examples, was designed for 1 million residents, yet sat largely empty for years after completion. Families invested life savings into apartments as pure financial assets, sometimes never even installing furniture or moving in at all. Imagine an American suburb built for 50,000 people, complete with schools and parks, where fewer than a few thousand residents ever show up. In recent years, major developers like Evergrande collapsed under enormous debt, sending shockwaves through China's massive real estate sector. Real estate alone once accounted for roughly a quarter of China's entire economic output, far higher than housing's share of the American economy. When prices stalled, millions of families watched their largest financial asset lose value almost overnight, with no easy way to sell. At the same time, rural to urban migration continues, pulling workers away from shrinking villages toward China's largest coastal metropolitan areas. Some smaller cities now face population decline, even as megacities like Shenzhen and Guangzhou keep expanding their skylines further upward. The government has since introduced new policies, trying to slow speculative building while stabilizing prices for everyday home buyers. Analysts in the United States continue watching these shifts closely, since a slowdown in China's economy can ripple through global markets fast. Empty towers and unfinished towers now sit as physical monuments to growth that outpaced real demand for an entire generation. Yet, even after this economic stumble, everyday life across most of China continues moving forward at a remarkably fast pace. Step onto a Chinese high-speed train and you can travel from Beijing to Shanghai over 800 miles in about 4.5 hours. That same distance by American train, running between New York and Chicago, would typically take nearly twice as long today. Tickets for these bullet trains often cost less than a domestic flight in the United States, while offering smoother, faster travel overall. Inside most Chinese cities, cash has almost disappeared, replaced by mobile apps like WeChat Pay and Alipay for nearly every single purchase. Street vendors, taxi drivers, and even beggars now display QR codes, letting customers pay instantly with a simple scan from their phone. A basic bowl of noodles at a local restaurant can cost less than $2, a price unheard of in most American cities today. Renting a small apartment in a mid-sized Chinese city often costs a fraction of similar rent in cities like Los Angeles or Boston. Grocery delivery apps can drop food at your doorstep within 30 minutes, faster than many delivery services across the United States. Public safety also stands out, with many Chinese cities reporting lower violent crime rates than similarly sized American metropolitan areas. Walking alone late at night through Shanghai or Chengdu feels remarkably normal, even for solo female travelers from Western countries. Dense subway systems connect nearly every corner of major cities, often running cleaner and more punctual than many American transit systems. For budget-conscious American travelers, a full week in China can sometimes cost less than 3 days spent inside a major American city. If convenience and low cost of living matter most to you, drop a 2 inches the comments before we keep going. Still, this convenience comes wrapped inside constant surveillance, with security cameras covering nearly every public street corner nationwide. For many residents, that trade-off feels worth it, exchanging some privacy for safety, speed, and everyday affordability. Beyond the cities, older traditions continue quietly shaping daily life in ways most foreign visitors rarely notice at first. Long before smartphones and bullet trains, Kung Fu grew out of Chinese monasteries as both a spiritual practice and a form of self-defense. The Shaolin Temple, nestled in the mountains of Henan province, remains the most famous birthplace of traditional Chinese martial arts today. Young monks there train for years, mastering strikes, forms, and discipline passed down through generations long before modern mixed martial arts existed. Tourists can now watch live demonstrations, sometimes even enrolling in short training camps to experience the discipline firsthand for themselves. Tea culture runs equally deep, with formal tea ceremonies treated less like a drink and more like a quiet meditative ritual. Specific pose, temperatures, and even the sound of water carry meaning, similar to how Americans treat a carefully brewed cup of coffee. Pu'er tea from Yunnan province can age for decades, sometimes selling for thousands of dollars per kilogram among serious collectors. Traditional sports also remain popular, including dragon boat racing, where teams paddle long wooden boats to the beat of a drum. The sport traces back over 2000 years, tied to ancient festivals still celebrated across China and Chinese communities worldwide today. Calligraphy, another respected art form, treats brushstrokes almost like a visual form of poetry, studied for years to master properly. In rural provinces, ethnic minorities like the Miao and Dong still wear intricate silver jewelry during traditional festivals and celebrations. Their embroidered clothing can take months to complete, passed down as heirlooms through generations of skilled female artisans. Imagine an American county fair blended with a centuries-old spiritual ceremony, and you start to understand the scale of these local festivals. Modern Chinese pop culture now blends these older traditions with streaming platforms, viral dances, and short video apps used by hundreds of millions. Young people study Kung Fu forms one afternoon, then post viral dance videos online the very same evening. This blend of ancient and modern culture sets the stage for where China plans to take itself next. In 2021, China successfully landed a rover named Zhurong on the surface of Mars, joining a very short list of nations to pull this off. Its own space station, Tiangong, now orbits Earth, built entirely without American involvement after China was excluded from the International Space Station. Meanwhile, Chinese companies now compete directly with American firms in artificial intelligence, producing chatbots, coding tools, and image generators used worldwide. According to recent industry reports, China added over 100 new billionaires from AI alone within a single year, rivaling growth seen across Silicon Valley. Electric vehicles have become another major export, with Chinese brands like BYD now outselling many established American and European car manufacturers globally. Entire cities are testing autonomous taxis, letting passengers hail a self-driving car through an app, much like Uber back home. China has also become the world's largest producer of solar panels, manufacturing far more clean energy technology than the United States currently does. Massive wind farms now stretch across northern deserts and coastal waters, part of a stated goal to reach carbon neutrality by 2060. High-speed rail networks continue expanding, with new lines planned to connect even more remote provinces to major economic centers. The government has poured billions into semiconductor development, trying to reduce reliance on American and Taiwanese chip technology. Universities across China now graduate more engineers each year than the United States, feeding a growing pipeline of scientific talent. Some economists predict China's economy could eventually surpass the United States in total size within the coming decades, though the timeline remains debated. Others point to slowing population growth and mounting debt as serious challenges standing in the way of that prediction. Whatever happens next, China's leaders continue framing every project, from Mars landers to solar farms, around one central national goal: rejuvenation. For a country built on ancient roots, its eyes now stay fixed almost entirely on the future. From ancient dynasties to Mars landers, from Shaolin monks to billionaire tech founders, China keeps living inside one giant contradiction. A communist party built on equality now oversees more billionaires than the United States, according to the Hurun Global Rich List released in 2026. Meanwhile, hundreds of millions of migrant workers still leave their children behind, tied to a hukou system built decades before smartphones existed. Skyscrapers rise faster here than almost anywhere on Earth, yet some rural households still live on less money in a year than many Americans spend on rent in a single month. Ancient temples burn incense beside AI labs building the next generation of chatbots and self-driving cars. One flag, one party, two completely different economic realities colliding every single day across 1.4 billion lives. So here is a question worth sitting with. Can a nation truly call itself equal while producing more billionaires than any country on earth? Drop your honest answer in the comments below. We genuinely want to read what you think about this contradiction. If this video helped you understand modern China beyond the headlines, hit like and subscribe for more honest fact-check deep dives. Subscribing means you will not miss our next breakdown, uncovering the hidden paradox behind another country most Americans think they already understand. Next time, we head somewhere completely different. A nation where the rules around money, marriage, and freedom might surprise you even more. Until then, thank you for watching all the way to the end. We genuinely appreciate the time you spent with us today.